Look at that. Came in right on the word meteorite. I am getting so damn talented I can't stand myself.
You're killing me.
All right, Alexa, that's good. Alexa, shut up. Stop. That was so good. That was so good. The timing was perfect. So Ron, what do you think of my new hat?
Oh man, you're getting like so Florida. It's not even funny.
Actually, so
your music.
Steve Pacifico left his hat in my truck. Now, I would never steal Steve's hat. Just his idea, so I took it. I bought it. I bought one because I liked it.
No, you would just never return it.
Oh, why would I keep it? I have my own now.
So, that was the extending your music, huh?
Yeah, I just figured now. I don't really like the song, but it said meteorite in it, so.
Well, good evening, folks. We're going to get started. Couple of things. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Next week I will be broadcasting from the new shop. Just got a little hectic in there today.
You're getting a new studio, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm moving it to the other wing of the property.
The wing.
So, real quick, I just want to put a plug in for who's that in Lehigh, Ron? What's the name of their group?
Hold on there. Lehigh Valley Treasure Hunting Club.
Okay, guys, Lehigh Valley Treasure Hunting Club.
Steve, lose that light you got on your screen.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lehigh Valley Treasure Hunters. We're going there next week. Ronnie's going. I'm going. A couple other members of the page are going. If you're
I'm not going.
Interested in going, if you're interested in going to a hunt in Lehigh, PA next week, get in touch with me. We'll get you all the information we can. There's a lot of openings. That's this thing where there are so many openings right now, and they need, it'd be great. You want to get into a hunt where there's not that very many people, give me a call.
Yeah,
I think it's bucks for the
fewer hunters, more prizes.
And it's going to be next week at 11 o'clock in Lehigh. So guess what? That's perfect for me. I get to wake up. It's like an hour and a half ride for us. So we get to take our time. So any other announcements?
There's a Waffle House close by.
You know what? Don't get me started on Waffle House, man. The first time there, I had a good time.
There's Waffle Houses everywhere. Everywhere. Dima next week, guys. Dima is in Orlando, Florida, and I might be making an appearance. I don't know yet, but I might be making an appearance there.
Okay. So there's my dog barking like a moron. Okay. We got a great guest. I want to tell you something. We've had him on before. Really smart guy, and yeah, we know this is a page about metal detecting, but a lot of guys in metal detecting are also into meteorites, and some people actually go out and use metal detectors to find meteorites. So we know he's just such an interesting gentleman that we had him back on the page, and he's Mr. Steve Arnold from Meteorite Men, which was on, I believe that was on Discovery Channel way back when.
Yes.
So if you're into meteorites, you're going to love tonight's show. If you're not, you might still like tonight's show. So let's.
How could they not like it? I'm here. So I mean,
that's right. Frank's
regardless, we are back on YouTube again tonight. So we got all three working.
That and a couple things here. What's I going to say? We talked about being on hiatus, and yet we still did shows. So we're pumping them out. So let's bring on Mr. Arnold right now.
Boo. There he is.
There he is.
Mr. Arnold.
Good evening, gentlemen.
It's a very good picture because the last time we had you on, you had to run outside and you were doing it from like a car in a rainstorm or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember being on our show before?
He's been on twice before.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, good. I'm Steve.
I don't remember what I said, but I
don't remember what you said either.
You know what, Steve? That happens to me all the time.
So I'm Steve Pacifico. You already spoke with Frank Lopergola, and in the other corner is Mr. Ron DeGhetto.
How you
Hi,
doing, Steve?
Ron.
Yeah,
Ron
Ron
is
and I, we go way back.
that's right. That's
all
correct.
right. So we're going back. We're
I
going
don't
back,
hold that against you, Steve. Don't worry about it.
back.
They
So,
love me here. They love
real
me.
quick, what you have anything new on the burner working?
Oh, gee whiz. Totally unrelated. I have a little business in town where I do ghost tours. So you're talking about going on a hunt, but it sounded like a haunt, and my ears like perked. Wait, there's a hunt next week.
What?
I'm going to be there.
What,
But I like
what
haunts.
town is
as much
this,
as
Steve?
Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's one of America's most haunted towns, and so in our town, Halloween is a 31-day holiday. So
Right.
it's we are in high season right now. So that your people don't care about that.
You would
Um,
be amazed how many people care about haunted stuff on
A
this page.
lot.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I agree.
You know what? We should have you on. We had a haunted show one time. See, Frank believes in ghosts, and I don't necessarily believe in ghosts.
Frank believes that there is something physical, scientifically provable, just not yet. Because Frank, being 20 years a cop, very scientific guy, I have seen crap I cannot explain.
Okay,
That's all.
and I agree with that. But my theory is this, Mr. Arnold, and you're going to laugh when you hear this one. My mother swore that she was going to come back and haunt me.
Really?
And
That's
she
a nice promise.
Listen, she meant it. There's no BS about that. And she died in our house, which
Hey.
it would even lead to believe that the spirit would stick around. And she died 2012. So it's been 10 years, and I ain't heard hide nor hair of her.
I'm sorry.
And I would laugh at her, but listen, so my thing is this: if it were physically possible, she'd be standing behind me. So,
And it's a true story because we hear this every time we talk to Steve about her.
I got you. Right. Yeah.
it's true. So
Now, Steve, we had to get Steve on like this week because you're taking off for the like faraway places, aren't you?
Maybe. I think I think we might be postponing our Chile trip here. That was scheduled for a month from now. We're actually going to make that decision, I think, tomorrow. So I don't know. I do have a Morocco trip planned, and this is for people who want to come and hunt. And it's a little more visual, a lot more visual than it's. We do encourage if people have a detector that is travelable. It's typically the need for a metal detector is when you spot a meteorite and there's like maybe it broke into 12 pieces and you find the 12 pieces within like 18 inches of each other, and there's a piece missing, like it fits together like a puzzle, and you're going, underneath the sand somewhere is the 13th piece that's missing. Then you'll want to break out your detector, but it's not like the hardcore swinging the detector all day long.
Well, when you come across it, do you more often than not find these pieces on the surface, or is this stuff that
so on Witness Falls, that can and do land anywhere on the planet. Usually they are on top of the ground. It is possible if the soil is soft enough, if the rock gets big enough. I mean, if it's real mud, a little meteorite will go into mud, of course. Right. But there's I'm sure there's some geeky ratio but they are where you find them. And so usually on falls, they're on top of the ground. In Chile and in Morocco, they're almost always on top. Sometimes one will like bury itself halfway and then the sand will kind of cover it up and a little piece is sticking out. But And there are places on the planet, most places on the planet, the soil goes up over time. And so, like farmland, it grows, right? And so over time, I did a lot of hunting in Kansas. That was like 17 years ago now. When I started. And I found one meteorite 7 feet 4 inches underground, and they figured it was Pleistocene layer, and so it may have buried itself halfway. But then over the last 10,000 years, there's been
That's my question too, because I know like up here. I mean, up here, I'm down here now, but up in the north, when we do coins and stuff, and we find a coin or like that, if it's 300 years old, rest assured it's 4, 5, 6, 7 inches and it start off on top of the ground. Does that work that way depending on the terrain you're on?
Definitely so. And then of course there's some areas where you have deflation and the wind's blowing stuff away, and the rocks are just kind of just perched on top of the ground.
Okay.
So it's one of those things your eyes usually can scan far more square footage than the coil of your detector can. So,
yeah, but you know what you're looking for. Me, the rocks.
Yeah, but if you get into certain areas, like in Chile, there is part of that desert, the Atacama Desert, that is 40 million years old. Now you compare that to like up where some of you guys are at. 10,000 years ago, you were a mile under ice. Right. So your surface isn't very old where you're at. 40 million years. If something landed 39 million years ago, it is still sitting there. And it is a permanent high pressure system, so they get zero rain. And so there's just not the elements to deteriorate them or to wash them away or cover them up.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's a better place. And I'm sure some people there, that's watching, that understand like how where gold ends up. You have to kind of think like your target, right? It's
right.
Like, okay, if I was a gold nugget, where would I be? If I was a meteorite, where would I be?
Now, when on those cases, there's occasions that you have to break out a metal detector. Are you guys using pulse induction machines? Are you using VLF machines? Are you using like the stuff that we carry around for coins and stuff, or are you strictly deep dwell?
Like the last few trips, I just brought my old little Mine Lab Go Find 60 just because it's lightweight and it packs and it works decent. It works, we're not going, typically, more than like a couple inches. So it's like, why bring something that's expensive that can break and why bring something that's heavy? Right.
Because things under that target, if you're actually seeing deeper into the ground, you're going to get more signals. If you're looking only 2 or 3 inches under the ground, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So it's usually they're not worth it, or you spend an hour like hunting around an area and you find nothing, and you go, okay, well, at least I know there's nothing, within the top, 6 inches or whatever, and you go on.
Interesting.
So, hypothetically, if someone like me was going out there looking for meteorites, what is the basic characteristic? Like if I walk up on a rock and I pick it up, by looking at it, what should I be looking for?
Okay, so there are 3 scenarios that someone will find themselves in. A fireball that flies over and maybe near where you live, and you're like, oh my God, I want to go find a piece of that, right? Or whether you saw it or just, the chatter on Facebook blows up, Twitter blows up. Did you guys see that? The TV news shows videos, and it's like, hey, treasure hunter, I want to go get it. That is one scenario. Another is going to places where others have been found in the past.
Right.
because normally meteorites do break up when they come in the atmosphere, and if there's an area where one, or especially if a dozen or 100 pieces have been found, there are more pieces out there waiting to be found. And then that's a different scenario. And then the deserted areas where you're just going looking for cold finds, just something that landed a long time ago, you want to stumble on it, that's different. So the fireballs produce rocks that usually have a dark black or a matte black. So like matte or sometimes shiny black crust. The outside of the rock melts into a fusion crust. Sometimes, depending on the texture of the meteorite, it can be a little more glassy, a little more like obsidian looking on the outside, almost wet, like tar, like wet tar. But usually it's more of a matte black. They tend to be rounded because they were in a fireball. So, and even though it's only for a few seconds, you might picture an ice cube with a torch, blowing on it, right? And you're just going to kind of melt it. The ice cube's going to melt aerodynamically. There's going to be some rounded.
Your forward facing, your downward facing side is going to be more rounded and melted than.
Right, unless it's tumbling. If it's tumbling, then it ends up kind of potato shaped. But so the shape is going to be there. It's going to be black. Usually they are a lighter gray on an inside. So if it's broken in half, you'll see light gray, almost white, and then on the other side, is black. And basically, you're looking for something that just doesn't look normal. And there's always the biggest, we call them meteor wrongs. The biggest thing almost on every meteorite hunt is rubber, like from tires in roads and whatnot. There and on the sides of roads, that color of just matte black with aged rubber is what you're looking for. Your heart jumps when you see it. And then if it's got metal, plies and it sticks to your magnet, then you're really.
Well, that's my question. What percentage of these things that are found on the ground, what percentage of them would make a detector ring, would make a detector go off?
95%, probably.
Okay. So most of the time they're kind of conductive or magnetic of some sort.
Exactly. And so seldom you'll find yourself there. Well, it depends. It depends on how driven you are. If you show up and nothing's been found, you got to be a little more open-minded. All right. But but once one piece has been found, then you want to look for what that looks like.
Right.
And that's the same way if something fell 10,000 years ago and a farmer hit it 100 years ago, and there's a couple pieces been found in an area, you want to look for what the others look like because they've been through the same aging and terrestrial process.
Sure.
When you get to the deserted areas, you get all different types of meteorites. The environment's the same, but the rocks will look a little different. And that's it helps to just be around meteorites, especially from deserted areas. Just there's a patina that's just kind of unique, and it looks different. Usually, every once in a while you'll end up in a terrain where there's rocks that look just like what a meteorite would look like. And on one hand, it's like, hey, if anybody's been out here looking for rocks, they probably didn't. They probably skipped this area altogether because you save the hard. Well, it's just like hunting anything, right? Yeah. If you're on the side of a mountain looking for gold nuggets, you'd rather stay on the plateau where you don't kill yourself, right?
Exactly.
So, or if it's underwater, do you really want to go underwater? Well, yeah, maybe, but as the last resort. So. Yeah, every situation is a little different. You just kind of play it for what it is.
So you should basically have a magnet with you while you're doing. Like you always have a magnet with you, right?
Yes.
What other things? Go ahead. What other things do you take with you when you go hunting? I mean, a magnet's one, right?
Right.
What else?
Let me plug a little thing here real quickly. I have a YouTube channel called Fireball Steve. So youtube.com/Fireball Steve. And in it, that has, I think we have 8 videos up there. It is a crash course in just a little over an hour. If you speed it up to, 2 times the speed, you can get through it in a half hour. Everything you need to know on chasing fireballs. All right. And one of the segments is, what do you bring with you? Right.
Right.
And the recommendation is a rare earth magnet. You can have a magnet stick that telescopes down, or just find a stick on the side of the road and stick it to, or go to Walmart, buy a $3 mop and use the mop handle, whatever.
Right.
You want good shoes. You want moleskin, because once you start to get a blister, you got to get on top of that crap, or it'll put you on your butt for a week. So you want extra water, because you'll show up at sunrise and you won't want to leave till sunset on a fireball. On regular hunts, you can pace it a little better. The Baggies magic marker. Of course, our phone now has tracking apps that help show where you've been and where you haven't been on top of Google Earth. Really, it's you want to show up and bug spray, off. Sunblock if that's appropriate. So, just practical things.
Okay. I want to ask you about Georgia, Junction City, Georgia.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened there and what got you to go there and what you found.
So there was a fireball, and I have a team of guys that we, every time there's a fireball with any promise, it's like we get in our little group chat and try to flush it out. This one showed promise, but and more than showing promise, one of the guys in my close group, he was in South Carolina, and he looked at that and went, "Whoa, this looks real promising." Knew where it was, kind of triangulated it with some video really fast. And he looked at the Doppler radar, and it showed there were signals there. So he drove down the next day, and he very quickly found one in the middle of the road. A paved road, and it had hit and broken, and there was a chunk in the road, and then there were pieces on the road and off to the side of the road. And then he went and hunted, and he found another big one later that day, and he let us know. And so I was like, all right, let's drive to Georgia. So went down with a buddy of mine from here in my hometown.
So what if it landed on private property? What do you do then?
And this one did it. So it crossed over the county road. And normally they will. Normally you get into some real forested areas or some ground that's either federal or native tribal land or something. Then there might not be roads crossing, but there was in this particular case. And so it's a matter of looking up the owners. Used to be people lived, on or near their property. And nowadays half of America is people who live in the state capital or whatever, so, and things are so divided, but you look it up and you ask permission because it is important that you not get arrested. It's also important that this time of year is hunting season, and you don't want to get shot. And some of the landowners have leased out their land to hunters. Right. And the hunters who paid good money don't want people traipsing through scaring the deer off. They want them, like, if they're in a routine and a pattern, they want to know what that routine is. They got the camera set up and everything. and yeah, of course you don't want to get shot yourself. So
Okay, so what did you find? What was the
Um,
question?
so I found a couple little crumbs on the road near where it landed. But my buddy who went with me found a 126 gram piece, and we had a deal made that if I drove him down there and picked up the tab, that we would do a splitting thing. So I ended up co-owning it immediately, and so in a way, it was. A little victory for me because Team Steve found one. Not that
So was it worth your time and effort?
Yeah. So it's 126 grams. I don't know exactly how much we lost in the saw losses, but I'm going to guess close to 20%. So we're probably. I'll add it up. I eventually do. I usually do before this. I'm going to guess somewhere around 100 grams is available. And it's worth somewhere around $200 a gram, so it's $20,000 rock.
I got two questions from the audience I want to ask you real quick. Somebody wants to know if you know Fred McPherson from Ontario.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you know Fred.
Now, what state do you usually find meteorites? What states are you going to find? In the U.S., do you find meteorites? I remember you saying New Jersey doesn't really have any.
Right. Now they're there. We just don't know of them. So fireballs can land anywhere. Of course, if you're near water, ocean water, there's a 50-50 chance. Even if you saw one, it's going to be out in the ocean. And if it's on land, then it's like, okay, there's certain terrains that are just the Florida Everglades. No, not going to do it. There's certain areas of the Rocky Mountains, not going to do it. There's some forested areas that just have no roads to, not going to go hunt there. So there are, but other than that, anywhere, they can and do drop anywhere. And so you kind of weigh it all out. Deserted areas, of course, there's only certain states in the U.S. that physically it's advantageous to walk around, but your Utah, Nevada, Arizona areas.
There's no real spot on the planet that is more susceptible to these things. It's just areas that are there easier to find.
Correct.
Question for you: Crater Lake. Do you find meteors near Crater Lake at all?
No, I think Crater Lake's a volcanic crater.
I thought that was a meteorite hit that and created that lake. No?
Where at? What state?
Crater Lake. I think it's in Oregon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a volcano.
Okay,
and that filled with water. Okay, I thought differently, but it's not the first time I've been made to look like a fool on this show.
It's the first time today. What are you talking about?
What is the most? Let's talk about what in your opinion would be like the most famous meteorite that hit.
Oh, I mean, obviously the Chelyabinsk meteorite that came in 2013 over Russia got more video, more like in the pop culture. Everybody
blew all the windows out on TV.
There you go. Yeah, of course. So we all know that. Second place would be the Canyon Diablo meteorites from the giant, almost 1 mile crater out in Arizona. The classic example. You see this 1 mile hole in the ground. Mm-hmm. The pictures of it. So that's very well known. The Willamette meteorite is the real big one that was found in Oregon and is at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. So that's real famous. So many people have seen it. Other of the Cape York ones that are there at the American Museum, the Tucson ring meteorites that are, especially the one that's the real ring, that's at the Smithsonian. It gets a lot of people visually see that and know that. So
I know you spend a lot of time, and we're going to get to. We will talk about
Hold on.
how people can purchase meteorites from you, etc. I do want to show one though that I have, which was one of your certified moon rock.
Right?
Okay, now this is a very, very small sliver of moon rock. Now we know it's illegal for anyone to own any authentic rocks that came from the moon.
The Apollo rocks, right?
So can you explain to me this sample, the moon rock sample, and how you certified it?
When you look at the moon, there's a lot of craters there. And those craters were formed by asteroids and comets that hit the moon. The moon has no atmosphere, so it does not slow down the impactors coming in. So they're coming in full speed. They hit the surface of the moon. The interaction, transference of energy blasts out craters. The lack of atmosphere allows the ejected material to go up. It's not that the atmosphere doesn't slow it down. They've got about 1/6 the gravity. The moon has about 1/6 the gravity Earth does. So there is some gravity pullback. If you look at some of the larger craters on the moon, you can see where the splatter has, some of it has landed back on the moon. A lot of the moon is not on the moon anymore, and a lot of it makes it space, and some of that lands here on Earth. Okay. And what you're all holding is a piece of a meteorite that landed on the Earth that has been proven unquestionably to have originated on the moon. And there are things in moon rock that are not found anywhere else on Earth or anywhere else in our solar system. There are things moon rocks do not have that everything else has. The Apollo rocks that came back with the Apollo astronauts, 800-900 pounds worth, they got a really good data set on what the moon's made out of. And so they know, and oxygen isotopes are actually the real key that they focus in on. The farther away from the sun you get, oxygen changes. So if a rock is from the Earth, it has a certain amount of oxygen.
So it's almost like they have a fingerprint of the distance they are from the sun.
Yeah, right. And so all the Martian meteorites, they can come from different parts of Mars, but they have the same oxygen isotope level. There are some asteroids that no longer exist, that were blasted by another asteroid into smithereens, but some of those smithereens make it to us, and we're able to piece, this meteorite here and this meteorite there, they all came from the same parent body. We have no idea where that is, if it even exists anymore. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're down to little pieces.
So speaking of gravity, is it true that if Steve was to toss that little piece to the ground, they would orbit around him? I don't mean to put you on the spot, Steve. I'm just saying.
And there's a good chance that if you hear a knock on the door at 3 a.m, Steve, it'll probably be the FBI. So you're the one showing this rock that you're not supposed to have.
So we got moon rock.
Yep.
Do we have Mars rock on Earth?
We do.
Mercury?
Nope.
Okay, so no rock from Mercury made it here.
That we know of, right.
What about any other planets? Jupiter, Saturn? I mean, they're far away.
So there is it would be Mercury or Venus, Earth, Mars, or Moon, the Moon. You get beyond Mars, and you're into the gas planets.
And the gaseous planets aren't going to really eject.
It's just not making it here anyway. I mean, that's a long distance.
Yeah. Jupiter sucks in everything.
So I got a question for you. This comes up every time we have you on. So I have been in my backyard in Jersey, and I've seen these little fireballs come through, and I swear you could almost feel like you could jump up and grab one.
Right.
When you're sitting there and you're looking at these relatively low trajectory fireballs,
Like
how
shooting
far
stars.
can they actually travel from where you're standing?
So,
Thank you.
not to be redundant, but my Fireball Steve videos cover this really nicely in the first 1 or 2 episodes. And it's a really great question because people will swear like it landed on the other side of the barn, and like they'll spend days out there looking for burnt grass, right, and a rock in the middle, and that is Hollywood has done that to us. Fireball meteorites burn out 5 to 10 miles up. We're talking like once every 1,000 years, a big enough one comes where it's on fire to the ground. And those are ones that explode out giant craters. Trust me, as big as the one was in Russia, it still burned out 5 miles up.
So if I'm in my backyard and I see this little flickering light, rest assured it's probably about 10 miles in the air.
10 miles up. And if it looks like it's on the horizon, go back to high school geometry and figure it out. But you can see,
No.
we get videos and people will report fireballs from 200 miles away. And they'll swear it is a half a mile away. I mean, they will go look the next day because they really believe. I like to tell people, if you're standing under a tree and the full moon is out, it looks like the moon is caught in the branches of the tree. Because from one perspective, you cannot see the depth of field.
Right.
You need to triangulate that. And yes, you think it's close. But if it was really close, like within a mile, it would burn out almost 90 degrees straight up, right above you. Like you would have to hurt your neck to look up to see it go out. And it can still be a mile away from, if you're going 10 miles up, and it's, it's a mile away. I mean, that's still pretty damn straight up.
If it looks like it's out towards the horizon, so not only am I 10 miles up, I could be 20 miles out, 50 miles out.
Or 200 or 300 miles out.
Right.
There was a video several years back that a Dallas city street worker had a dash cam on his city vehicle, his truck, and it caught this meteorite. And like it was like you watch the video, and it was like, oh, it's just south, and he was on the east side of town heading south, and everybody thought that in the southeast suburbs that thing landed over Houston. Like Houston, Texas, from Dallas. But people were looking inside Dallas for it because it's just that off.
Frank,
Frank, yes.
Only when you feel the heat, that's when you got to start looking around your yard. All right?
Yeah. So,
my yard today had to be pretty good aim to hit.
You joke about that, but they're actually cold when they hit the ground.
There you go.
They're coming from outer space where it's like absolute zero, whatever it is, like 90 degrees below zero or whatever. And so then they're on fire for like maybe 5 seconds. Then they burn out, say 7 miles up, and where it's 50 degrees below, right? That's above where the 747s fly. And then it free falls for 5 minutes before it hits the ground.
Right, but I've seen a lot of TV shows where they're burning when they hit the ground. I'm just saying.
Quick question. These are the ones I like. This meteorite here is more of an iron type as compared to a rock.
Right.
Oh my God. Steve, that was a stone from my driveway. I told you it was a meteorite. What the heck?
So can you describe this to us and probably where it came from?
Sure. So The at the very beginning of our solar system formation, there were little blobs of molten material that became like little drops of water, or like oil and water in oil. You know, you get little blobs, little spheres out in space, no gravity. And then they started to cool and harden. And those little and we call those chondrules. And the little chondrules started gathering together and accreting, and they had a little bit of gravity enough, they kind of just stuck to each other. And then the mass grows bigger and bigger. And early on, there was a lot of radiation. And so the rocks were somewhat hot. Well, once you start insulating the hot rocks inside of more hot rocks, then as the asteroid got bigger, the body would get hot and retain heat, and it would melt the boundaries of, and it's almost like styrofoam, like the little balls that they make styrofoam out of. But then the borders would bleed as it got hotter. Now, if the asteroid got really big, it would become so hot that it would melt those little chondrules just into total pudding. And it would just, like pudding, like mixing it just mud. And but there was little flakes of metal would get trapped between them. Well, once it got big enough, the metal would all melt into liquid metal. It's heavier. It gets pulled to the core of the asteroid. And about 10% of meteorites are metal. And that 10% got pulled to the 10% core of the giant asteroid. And then over time, it would cool. Now, if you're a really big planetary body like Earth, our core is still molten. There's still radiation. There's still so much heat that the metal is still liquid in there. But smaller asteroids have since cooled in the last 4.5 billion years. And then it hardens back up, and the metal core is solid metal. And then along comes another asteroid, breaks it apart. And so the all metal meteorites are the center of what used to be a really big, what we call planetoid, kind of what Pluto got demoted to. And we have like 33 that we know of cores of asteroids that used to exist that aren't there anymore. It's like the Tootsie Pop. You know, you got it. You know, how many licks does it take to get to the center? Well, it's, you know, once you break it open, you're not putting that puppy back together again. So we have 33 different cores by the chemical and the oxygen isotopes and the mixtures. They know that they're unique. And there's actually probably quite a bit more. There's some that are just one-offs that, you know, could be there. So that's what you're getting there. They're extraordinarily rare. However, metal is noticeable. And so you might run into a stone meteorite. Moon rock is actually pretty common. We just walk over it every day, and we don't, I mean, it's not like it's in every sidewalk, but there's a lot of moon rock, but we don't see it. If you're a farmer and you hit a chunk of metal with your plow and it bends your plow, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to get that rock out of there so I don't hit it next time. And you go dig it up, and it's a chunk of metal with the density of an anvil. You're going, wait a minute, this ain't a normal rock. So they tend, early in history being the last 200 years, most of the meteorites that came to science were all metal because they were just so freaky weird. Since then, we've learned there's a lot of 97% of meteorites are of the stony type, probably more close to 99.
So with this, do you think this fell to Earth at this size? Because it doesn't appear to be cut off of anything, and it's smooth.
Do you know the name of that one? Is there an ID card with it?
Yeah, there is. It'll take me a second. I'm sorry. I keep everything. So let's see what we got here.
As you should.
You're
a good curator.
It's going to be hard to explain, but The location was
Rocky
Sakot Alin mountain range in Russia, eastern Siberia. And it's an iron octahedrite.
Right. And it fell, February 11th, 1947?
Damn.
Ronnie
February
was there.
12th.
Ronnie was there.
February
He had just
12th,
turned 40.
1947. That's good.
Okay. I was off a day. So that is the largest fall in human recorded history. But it landed way out in the middle of nowhere. But it was seen from a long ways away. And the shock waves like went around the planet twice. They recorded like in London twice back in 47. And of course it was kind of wartime or post-war time. So there was a lot of sensitivity for, nuclear things blowing up, and they were looking for booms. And so that one was seen. So that was so giant that it broke into 101 pieces that were so big. Each of those 101 pieces were so big that they went to the ground very fast. So they had the fireball to the ground there. And those 101 pieces blasted out 101 craters. And there's tens of thousands of little pieces, hundreds of thousands maybe, that broke off of those 101 pieces, either before it hit the ground or after they hit and exploded and ripped apart in pieces of shrapnel.
So this was probably a piece that was collected.
That is a little piece of something that was huge.
Right. I have a question from the chat. These rocky looking ones, are they porous? They look like, since everything heavy and metal kind of gets absorbed to the center, are these outer portions of this rock, are they porous? Are they really dense? Are they heavier?
Okay, so when I say I'm like the asteroid grows and when it gets bigger, I'm actually talking like 50 miles across bigger, not this much bigger. So, or bigger, even bigger than 50 miles across. So the rock portion that comes, if it came from one of those asteroids, there are no chondrules because all the chondrules melted. Right. And so the liquid metal went to the core, the silicate liquid floated on top, and it all cooled. And then something hits. So like Vesta meteorites that come from Vesta, there are HEDs, howardite, eucrite, and diogenites are the three types from that asteroid. And it depends on how deep in the asteroid the piece is. That asteroid still exists, and we can see it with the telescope. We've done flybys and even landing on it before. So we know quite a bit about it. And about 5% of our meteorites come from Vesta. So those don't have chondrules because it just reconstituted from pudding, like frozen pudding.
Right.
Now, a lot of other meteorites that did not get big enough, which is a vast majority of our asteroids, did not get big enough to get hot enough that they still have those chondrules. And so they are very solid. They are not porous. They are not like lava rock. There is no air in space. There's a couple, and I hate to say it because everybody brings it up. There are out of the 65,000 meteorites we know about that have been studied and classified. There's like three that have air, not air bubbles, but they're gas bubbles. So something happened on that asteroid to create a chemical reaction where gas was caused
Mexican
inside
food.
it. But I hate to say it because then people will bring me a piece of lava rock out of their barbecue grill and go, well, I heard there was Ibiterra out of Brazil and yes, Ibiterra is one of the three. But it's like, no, your lava rock is not. If you have air bubbles in your rock, it is not a meteorite. Unless there's like everything else. like it hit a car and it has crust on it, and there's witnesses and there's video, and it's like it has to have everything else going for it. Then maybe I'll believe the air bubbles in there are really air bubbles. But no, throw it away if there's air bubbles.
I think those air bubbles were caused by the Mexican restaurant on that asteroid.
Yeah, maybe.
They only cause your air bubbles.
Okay, last one. I mean, I own a couple more, but I just want to ask you about this one, which
well, first of all, you might think that Steve Pacifico has been collecting them over the years and years. Actually, we made one trip to Ronnie's shop and he got his whole collection.
And they were yours.
Asteroid. They're all yours.
Okay.
Okay.
So here I am answering the questions. Okay.
Real quick. Campo del Cielo, Field of Sky. Okay.
Argentina.
In Argentina.
1576.
Pardon me?
1576 was the first year.
Awesome. This also says it was a tumbled fragment. What does tumbled fragment mean?
So this particular meteorite is an iron meteorite. It came from the core of a large asteroid. It is big, and there are lots of big ones. In fact, almost anything bigger than this for sale is Campo di Cielo, and it's a real good bargain. They had so much of that early on to sell that nobody would buy, that they were sitting around thinking up ways to market the meteorite. And I'm not sure who came up with the idea, but they froze the meteorite in liquid nitrogen. And I think the first time they stuck a stick of dynamite under it and they blew it up. And then they went around and it was like an Easter egg hunt, right? That would have been a good time to have a metal detector to go pick up the pieces.
Seriously.
Since then, they have learned that you can freeze them in liquid nitrogen, put them in a hydraulic press, and you don't need the explosion of dynamite. Just it shatters like
glass,
like it was clay, right?
Right.
And so the iron meteorites have a three-dimensional octahedral crystalline structure. And some of the weaknesses in the meteorites are on those octahedral bands. So there's like 8 sides. That piece you have, I'm assuming, is a nugget. We call them nuggets from that process. And in a way, it seems a little sacrilegious, but in another way, it's like a little laboratory experiment. You have a big asteroid that's iron. It's frozen in space. It hits our atmosphere. The impact of our atmosphere shatters it into 1,000 pieces. Those 1,000 pieces for the next 5 or 6 seconds are in a fireball, getting tumbled and melted down. Then they burn out and they fall to the ground. This particular case, they shatter it just like outer space, like when it hits from outer space. Right. And the tumbling just gets the sharp edges off. It's not that much of tumbling. And so you have a three-dimensional, the way you turn it, you can see those little octahedral planes in those little nuggets. And it gives you a snapshot of what a meteorite looks like between that nanosecond of breaking apart and all of a sudden entering in the melting fireball that will really round it off. And so 100% meteorite, just been altered a little bit with humans to make it acute.
Kind of like a lab created diamond. I mean, they kind of lab created a
but it's still 100% extra.
I understand. Very interesting. Now, let's kind of wrap this up with a couple other things. I like collecting meteorites, and a lot of metal detectorists like to collect coins. They like to collect bottles and relics. So I'm sure there's a bunch of folks out there that are into collecting meteorites. I again would ask you to post on our page after the show any link you have to your Meteorite pages where people can purchase them.
Okay.
Because I know there's probably people out there that would like to purchase them. And just give us your go ahead, give us your pitch, promote what you have and where you have it, and then after the show, please post it on our page.
Will do. Okay. So basically, there's no substitution for just being educated. And, you know, if you need to spend $5 or $10 on a specimen, it's really hard to go wrong. And even if it's not the best deal in the world, at least you'll learn something along the way. Obviously, if you're going to start spending more money, educate yourself. There's a lot of online stuff right now. Meteorite Men, the television episode you referenced earlier, it's they called it evergreen, like it's not a soap opera where you have to like follow it in order to understand what goes. Each episode stands alone, and it is remarkably for a 12, 11, and 10-year-old and 13-year-old episodes. It's remarkably on point. All right. As far as it's still good information. Curiosity Stream, I think it's their Pluto channel, runs our show a lot now. They just started doing that a couple months ago. It might maybe Discovery. I'm not sure. Hulu has it. There is. It's in high definition on some platforms. YouTube has it in low definition, and it's fuzzy. The content's still good, but if you can go watch it on high def, it is so that the background. We had our director of photography was from The Amazing Race, and our cameramen were from Survivor, and these shows that they're the best in the world, and they took time to capture the aesthetics. And so I think it helps the enjoyment of watching the show, but the content's still there, even if it's fuzzy. But so YouTube, you can go find those. Just hunt Meteorite. There's 23 episodes. So, you know, and over 3 seasons. I sell stuff on eBay. My eBay store is a little low right now. My wife and I are gonna restock it soon, especially in the next month, because this makes for a good Christmas present. And if someone says, "Oh, I want a $20," you know, they can go peruse it and like it, and then someone in their family can go snag it and give them as a gift, right? So we're going to load some stuff up here shortly. The first week of November, we'll get heavier there. Steve, just type Meteorite Steve in eBay search engine, and Miracle of Miracles. There's nothing else on all the billions of listings on eBay that have Meteorite and the word Steve. All of our listings do. So that's a shortcut to find everything I sell. There are other reputable dealers out there selling. I'm not in the business to promote them. But if you're going to be in the hobby for more than a minute, it's worth kind of learning who's out there and who you can trust, and who you maybe want to stay away from. But you know, it's not that big of a deal early on, especially if your dollars are small. And then, you know what? More times than not, I'll put something on Facebook and I'll just sell out within 2 hours, and then I move on. Because
like I was going to say, you're on Facebook under Steve Arnold, and I can tell all our viewers that this is how we got him on the show. I sent him a message. He responded. So I believe Steve probably responds to almost all his messages.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there has any questions, friend him up on Facebook. Search through his eBay.
And I'm happy to talk. You don't have to feel obligated to spend thousands of dollars. You know, if you have a few questions or something, I don't like to get into hours long conversations always on just the fireball grandma saw fly over. But but I mean, if you're curious about a meteorite or getting into it or whatever, yeah, hit me up. We'll chat.
Especially when, like I said, I like the little ones that are metal. So, people might differentiate from what they want, have questions on, which ones to buy or where to get them. I'm sure some people like the rocks. I like the melted piece of metal because that just intrigues me that this thing was in space and wound up falling to Earth and everything like that. But
yeah,
I would please appreciate and use our page to promote your shops. Go on there, use our page because we appreciate our guests. And I could talk. You know what? I mean, we only had an hour tonight.
Yeah,
and I could talk to you for hours about this. It was very interesting, and the hour went very fast. And there's just so much information, and you're a wealth of that information that someone could know or have questions about that. We could be here for hours talking about this.
Well,
So,
I enjoy it. I hope my enthusiasm comes across with this because, first of all, anybody that gives a crap enough to stop and listen for an hour, it's like, hey, I like that person already. But second of all, we are all kindred spirits. We are treasure hunters, and that's
right.
Charles Garrett's book at the beginning. That's how I got started in this 30 years ago. He had a book on treasure hunting and had like 15 different chapters, different ways to hunt, and I was doing research on like homesteads that would have had old caches, and I ran across a story about this lady who had a meteorite back in the 1880s and had sold it. It was like, sold for money in the 1880s.
Yeah.
And I think meteorites have metal in them, so maybe a metal, and this was before I even owned a metal detector. So I was doing research on treasure hunting before I even bought a metal detector, and then I stumbled into meteorites even before I owned a metal. So I mean, that's where I'm cut from, and the same thing you guys are in your audience. So I relate with you guys. I think you relate with our show. I know people, whether the people are into fossils or other gems or paleontology, whatever, they liked our show because it created it not created, but just expressed what a lot of us, the frustrations, the excitement,
everything that goes with the hunt, no matter what you're hunting, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
for me,
we were just lucky enough that, it was a topic they thought was worthy to try for a TV show. And obviously they've done other treasure hunting stuff, around it. But,
perhaps you've seen my episodes. I've been on TV. Steve loves when I bring that up.
Now, for me, the intrigue is this. I love outer space. And meteorites bring outer space to Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that was in a place where I'll never go. Right. Outer space. It brings, you're like, this was in outer space.
Yeah.
And that to me is very intriguing. And the travel or the path and when you talk millions and millions of years, I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of years that the Earth has been here, and so have, asteroids. That's the beginning, the Big Bang Theory. Asteroids, make up our universe, and you're like, wow, this thing came from outer space and is now in my hand. And that intrigues me a lot.
And it's not unlike getting the ding and getting on your knees and pulling out an 1804 $50 and wondering, where has this been? How did it? Who was stupid enough to lose this and not find it? And why hasn't someone found it before me? And what else might be here? And then when was it minted? And how many were minted? And how did it make it over? There's a story to every treasure. You pull out a gold nugget. Why is it there? How's it there?
But there's a bigger story to these. The story is bigger. The story stretches millions and millions of miles. Who knows how long this
billions of years. Yeah, they are little time capsules.
Oh my God.
And they tell us about where we have been and where we're going.
Mm-hmm. So, but I want to thank you so much for being on this show. I guarantee we're going to have you back again. I'm seeing a lot of things. It's hard to.
I see a ghost. I see another ghost show because I had a lot of fun with the one we did, and we didn't even have you.
Oh, dude, have him back for a ghost show. It'd be great. He could tell some of the stories about his ghost hunt. You want to do that? We love it.
We crashed the internet with our ghost show.
A lot of compliments. In the chat to have you here. And if you want to come back for a ghost show, we can do that. You know, let's set that up for like the end of the season, Frank.
Yeah.
Because Steve, we did a ghost show one night, man. It was just like everybody was telling ghost stories. And
Steve Pacifico's no fun. He's not allowed to come.
And no, I'm all about it, but it's like I said, my theory is this. Two things I know if we're possible. I believe the Harry Houdini story, and he said if he could ever make contact from life after, he had a code and no one ever ever got that code.
Right.
And I swear my mother would be sitting right here telling you it's true. There really are ghosts.
Harry Houdini's on the other side of the room, and he told me.
He told you the code. So listen, thanks again, Steve. You're the greatest. I appreciate this show, and we definitely will be in contact again.
And post the stuff up on the page, Steve.
Okay,
Please.
will do. And I appreciate your hospitality and always I enjoy it. I thank you for it was an hour of entertainment on my end as well.
And no, very, very good information. Ron, would you like to say goodnight to Mr. Arnold?
Well, Steve, it's good to see you again. It's been quite a while. But
it is.
We'll cross paths once again.
Okay.
Send him more.
Hey, maybe we could get like a metal detecting permission to hunt in some insane asylum's old yard or something, and we could in the daylight we hunt
Frank yard
stuff and
we actually had an asylum down here by Princeton, but unfortunately they finally tore it down. It was in the book Weird New Jersey.
Okay.
So, Frank goes to the asylum on a regular basis. He can just ask.
Yeah, but that's my appointment.
All right, guys, let's say goodnight to Mr. Arnold. So we got some other things to talk about, and you're the best, buddy.
Thanks.
Thanks again.
Thanks out, guys.
So, guys,
so here's my thing. If you collect pizzas, is that a legitimate collection? I'm just curious.
No, they don't stay very long. They don't stay very long here.
I didn't realize that you collect asteroids, Steve. I want to show you the one that I found. Can you see that?
What is it?
That's an asteroid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know,
it was a hell of a time getting that thing dug out of the ground, but
I bet it was.
That's actually an asteroid. So
and we have Frank, who is an ass.
That's
Roy.
Now, again, I just want to tell our listeners, Steve collects a lot of things. He has some large collections. We're going to have the chief operating officer of Coca-Cola, and Steve's going to give us a view of his pull tab collection.
Oh, so. I thought you were going to say Chief Halftown. I was like, oh, we're not going there again.
Hey, I don't get to talk all show. I got to be able to say something.
Wait, are you talking about my pull tab collection?
Yeah, your pull tab collection.
Frank's is just as large. All right, so listen. Don't be throwing stones.
Yeah, I don't catalog mine like you do.
Don't be throwing meteorites at me, boys. All right, are we going to do a giveaway?
All right, here's the deal. I'm going to address the giveaway.
Uh-oh.
Tonight we're going to do one more surprise pack. That's it. We are we are spending the next 2 days shipping out prizes. We are going to sit for 2 days, and we are going to watch videos, and we are going to ship out the box of prizes that I have, and then we will have specific prizes to give away starting next week. So in other words, I'll be able to show you the coin we're giving away. Right now,
that, my friends, is what you call a crock of shit.
You watch and see. You watch and see. I have a crack team across from me. She has a pen and paper in her hand.
What a wizard. You know, but there were also the lives I did that I deleted that they should have sent you their information.
They did.
You should have.
We have some of that information.
We do.
Yeah.
That didn't sound very convincing at all.
Listen.
So I'm going to do all this work to do one giveaway.
We are going to.
I'm going to do all this work to do.
You
one
can give away 2 surprise packs. I don't care.
Oh, okay. Then I'm going to do that. So.
But it's going to be mixture. There's going to be stickers. Going to be whatever I come across in the interim, and I guarantee there'll be a coin in there, whatever.
Yeah. Well, now you better do well, because if I get any complaints, which I get them.
Yeah, I'll direct you right to the complaint department.
And guess who that is?
Rolls.
Yes. Oh no, she's not the complaint department. I am. Here's what I want everybody to do. Make sure you've liked the page. Okay, I'm going to give you a second to do that. I'm going to copy. What the heck? Something happened to my wheel page. So here we go. So I'm going to get the names off of YouTube. So if you're on YouTube
somebody's asking if I need the shipping info. As we're going through this and I pull the names, I will probably have to send you a quick message and get your name. Some of them I have, some I don't. We're going to attack this problem now that I have all this room. We're taking it to the coin wing, and we're going to attack this thing. But there will be a mad amount of prizes going out this week.
All right, so I'm going to get all the names from YouTube, and I'm going to just call them out real quick as I do it. Robert Stover. I don't want the YouTube folks to think they've been left out, so this is why I do this. Okay, and then that gives everyone a chance to like the other page and so forth. I got Neo Geo, Neogeo.
Neo Geo, that's our buddy Nelson.
Is it Nelson? He's the greatest. I got Maury Hansen.
I hit him up today for some siding from my place. He didn't respond.
Who did you hit up for siding?
He was doing siding today. He was doing facing on the building. I thought maybe he had a little extra.
Who was?
Nelson.
Oh, I got Dave Cruikshank. CRUI.
Dave Cruikshank. I keep meaning to ask you. Do you have relatives in New Jersey from the Vineland area? Because I know Cruikshank's in Vineland.
He's going to answer. If he's still here, he's going to answer. Oh, it said he had to run. He had to leave. So.
Hi, Lisa.
Yeah. Hi.
Lisa, we hit on that lottery, but I spent it already. Sorry.
I got Maddie P on YouTube, and Sam Leader. How do you say that? Sam Leider. Sam Leider.
It's Leider.
I've actually got to look through some of this.
Okay.
I may still have some.
And don't take my name. All right, so Delver's watching on Facebook.
Well,
okay. I've got all of the what do you call it? All of the YouTube people that I see the best I can. I'm going to go now. I'm going to take all the other 82 names plus off of Facebook, and then we'll do some drawings because I want Frank to be overworked.
Oh no, that's
why I hired a crack staff.
All right, so listen, I got to tell this story. You guys, this story really, really blows my mind. So before I do the giveaways, as I do this, seriously, this really happened, and it was craziest thing ever. So we flew from Florida. So first off, as you guys know, when I was going to Florida, we landed in
Orlando.
Orlando.
And when you go to Orlando, you have to take a shuttle from where the plane lands to the airport. Well, when we get on, my wife is sitting next to this big box, and it was a box of 12 boxes of chocolates, chocolate-covered macadamias, and we ate them the whole 2 weeks we were there. I mean,
And I still have a box here.
yeah. Oh, you did? We went to Ronnie's sister's house, and we're like, hey, we got a present for you. So, no lie, when we were flying, we flew out of Melbourne, Florida. And just for shits and giggles, I said to my wife, I said, what do you think we're going to find on this flight, right? Oh, it's just a joke. Well, we lay over in Atlanta. So we're walking up to the gate, and my wife says she's got to go to the bathroom, as usual, of course, for the 400th time that day. So I said, I'm like, just go, and I'm going to the gate. So I get to the gate, and they're already boarding the plane, which was kind of early. I'm like, okay, good, we're going to get right on. So I'm like, well, I got to sit and wait for her. So I go, as I'm walking over to the seat, like a laser beam, bam, something on the floor under the seat. And I'm looking at this thing going, it looks like a ring. But it looked like a kid's ring because it was big, bright, and silver. I reached down, I picked that thing up, man. It was diamonds. It was a big emerald cut diamond circled by more diamonds and diamonds and diamonds.
That was a chunker of a ring, man. Beautiful.
I said, now I'm picking it up and go, oh, of course, you don't know, the way we are, we don't know if this is real. So I sit down and I look on the floor and there's the wedding band. I'm like, holy shit, I just found a wedding set. Been detecting for years and I can't find a damn wedding set. Now all of a sudden this lands in my hands. And I'm trying to look to see if there's a stamp and there's not. So my wife comes over and she says, I said, you ain't gonna believe this. I go, I just found a wedding set. She's like, ooh, right? So now, honestly, I'm not giving it to anyone in the airport. We're not doing it. I'm not giving it to the person behind the counter because who knows what they would do with it. In my mind, it's a fine. But in the back of my mind, I also knew or also felt that if they were sitting there, they probably got on this plane. So we get on the plane and I take the rings and I'm looking at them and I still can't see if it said 14 karat. No, it didn't go. But then I saw writing in there. As bad as we are with our eyeballs, we can't see crap. So I'm like, man, I think these are real. And I'm just like, holy cow. I'm like in shock. And then all of a sudden over the intercom, the stewardess goes, yes, folks, one of our passengers happened to lose their wedding rings. So if anybody happened to found them, and I'm like, here, I found them. I found them. Guys, learn a lesson from this, okay? Because I got to tell you, we know there are people in metal detecting and also in this world that would not have returned them.
Would have pocketed them bad boys.
At this point,
absolutely.
At this point, to me, it becomes theft.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not a thief. Okay. In my mind, the owner had been located. It's my responsibility to return it to them. Like I said, in the airport, I'm not handing them over to somebody who's going to put them in their pocket either. I'm not doing that. There could have been ways to find. And listen, honestly, if they really wanted to research where those rings went, I'm sure I was on videotape picking up the rings going, oh yeah, look, right? And then I walk over and sign in to get in the airplane. So if anybody would have watched a little portion of that videotape, they would have said, oh, it's this guy and this is, you can, but please realize it was the return to them. At this point, it becomes theft. And
I'm sure they were over with those rings. They were overwhelmed to get them back.
Oh, she came back. She thanked me, and I said, I know they were. I said, I know they're real. She goes, yeah. I said, well, I already had them appraised on the plane while you were discovering you lost them. And I'm not doing that to gloat about me, but it's the way we have to be. I keep trying to tell people we got to start being about each other and not really about ourselves.
Honesty is the best policy. I'm going to say that again. Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah,
And
I'm not always
Steve,
on.
good
Yes.
follows good.
Yeah, what's that mean?
Where'd that voice come from? The heavens?
Yeah,
That's
that
angel.
listen,
Steve's the angel.
I ain't
guardian
getting no good karma about that out of that deal. Let me tell you.
Not Debbie, it's Lisa.
What's that?
She was saying hi, Debbie. I said not Debbie, it's Lisa.
Oh, I was gonna say that she didn't come creeping down either. So, all right,
But
we're
remember,
gonna do it.
be honest in your hunting. Honesty.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everybody know Steve had a twin brother.
And they made a movie about him.
That's actually Steve with his
Twins.
It's not a twin.
Twins.
That is Steve with his brother.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
I got the looks, he got the brains.
You both got the bald head.
Something like that. I think you got dyslexia
what?
too.
He said to me, he walked up to Gary Penta and told him he was my brother, right? And he goes, well, you don't look like Steve. So then my brother stuck his belly out real far and goes, how about now?
Oh yeah, I see the resemblance.
Then they're like, I see the resemblance. Yeah, that's funny. But it was great. In Florida, my brother came to the dinner we had with Mark Hoover and Gary Penta. Am I missing anyone else that was there?
Our crew.
Well, us, yeah, but I'm saying with us. So our crew,
To hundreds of people.
My sister was there.
and Ron's sister and Ron's niece came. And then my brother came out to the Florida event the next day. Ron's sister and niece came out to the Florida event. So my brother came out and you know, it was really nice to have him get involved in it. You know, he doesn't necessarily metal detect, he doesn't, but he likes this page actually. And he kind of laughs at it. He goes, I can't believe I like that page because you're on it.
No, he likes it because I'm on it. Oliver hates you.
That's the other family in here that likes Frank more than they like me.
All right, let's give something away because I slaved over the stove today making frozen
Again.
Salisbury steaks. So I'm starving.
Again, anyone in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area that are interested in going to the Lehigh Valley Hunt this Sunday, 11 a.m. in the Lehigh Valley. We'll get you the directions. We can get you to the hunt. Like I said, they had a low turnout. I'd love to be able to boost their turnout. You have any questions and you want to go, contact me, contact Ron DeGhetto, and we'll do our best. I'm actually taking Carolyn Cowling and Debbie McAdams. We're all going to drive up together. So, hey, if you're in my area and you need a ride and you want to go, let me know. We're going to make a fun day.
You're in Steve's area because you'll start to orbit around it.
Jen, the hunt is the 30th of October. So, unfortunately, you're going to miss it.
No, Jen, you can come up. You're more than glad. All right, the first winner, and you ain't going to believe who the first winner is. Scott McClory.
But
Scott, you got 1 minute. Oh, that's what else I want to say. Scott, you got 1 minute to answer up. And if you don't answer up in like 3 seconds, I would be very surprised. So also, I posted a picture. I got to see my old classmate, Lisa Alvarez Lurch, and we got to detect a little. I met her and her husband, Randy, down in Cocoa Beach. It had been 30 years since we graduated high school, and it was nice to see her. Scott McCoy is here. So, Scott, you know the program. You're going to send Frank your information, and you're going to get, supposedly, if you listen to whatever crap Frank was spewing, you might get a prize.
Wait and see.
I'm waiting to see
this week.
You've been saying that for months.
I know,
so,
but
yeah,
it's time.
This is what Detect America is about. And I like that part, that when people go somewhere, they connect with other people from Detect America. I know, I not that John Porcella did it, but he went down to Key West and met another detectorist.
Listen, when I was driving down to Florida, I had a couple of cars come up behind me. They're flashing the lights, blowing their horn, and then they waved to me.
That was because you're going 45 miles an hour.
They were calling you number one. Hey, number one. And if you weren't watching the show where Frank was driving and I was broadcasting and he almost had an accident, you need to watch that one.
When you're in my ear going, crash!
You stopped cold in the highway, dude.
No, I didn't stop cold in the highway. I slowed down so they could go around me and I could change.
In the left lane, you slowed down to 42 miles an hour. Why do you think they were giving you the finger?
Because I didn't want to
Because they-
drive back
Oh,
to
wait.
freaking.
Oh, I know what it was. Beep, beep. We saw you on Josh Gage. We saw you on. That's what they were saying.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Oh Lord.
Stupid shit, man. Some stupid shit. And then
What?
I get in the car with my brother, and it's like heaven. He's doing 80. I'm like, thank
But he
you.
wants to get there, get you out of the truck.
I said, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I got my, yeah. No, but Frank, again, thank you for taking us for that ride. My wife said I should be a little more nicer to you, and I told her no. But it was nice what you did. And it was cool because we picked a spot in the middle. My brother came and we all met. We had a nice dinner. Frank behaved himself,
I did.
and it was great.
I
All right.
only mentioned Expedition Unknown 2 or 3 times.
To the waitress, like 8. All right, last prize going to. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Troy Johnson.
Troy Johnson.
Troy Johnson. This guy, Troy Johnson, is awesome. He's always posted on our page. Troy, you have 1 minute to answer up. He's a dedicated member, and this is what we get. Yeah. Somebody said the prize is going to be a sticker and a used e-cigarette.
No, Scott. I don't smoke Juul. I smoke blue.
Troy Johnson's there, but that'd be funny.
Hey,
Because
you know,
Where we were hunting,
we
they didn't
didn't
have blue, so I was smoking.
we didn't talk about liverwurst this show. Maybe we
Gee, well, listen, we're gonna
That's a show all by itself.
by itself. Okay.
and so Troy, send your information to Frank, and
And
again,
yes, I ate liverwurst for breakfast more than once.
so yeah, we really haven't talked about it. We
We'll save that
have
for
to
another night.
We've
Yeah,
got
we have to discuss it.
we're
Yep.
processing.
Yeah. Gypsy Jules got back to me, so I'm trying to pin her down to do a show. I think
Steve,
she's away for the week.
Steve,
I-
did you get in touch with the?
Tomorrow, I was so busy today, I didn't even get a chance to read any emails.
Okay,
Yeah, we're going to have him on.
very good. Yeah, it's going to be a very good show too.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know it's tough to believe, but I was busy.
We will have D-Lec coming on very, very soon.
I want to get Paul from Paul's Coins on too. I love doing coin shows.
We have a list. We have a list of people that are coming on. And again, Dima's coming up the 1st through the 4th.
Can you explain? You're saying Dima.
Dima is a like a dive expedition. Companies from around the world that put on everything to do with diving and every aspect of it. They have a huge convention in Vegas, and they have it here in Florida.
The huge show.
It's coming up on the 1st through the 4th, and I'm gonna be popping down. I might be in a booth for something with someone down there, but I'm not gonna, not until I know.
And now you're a dive expert.
No.
Well, I think Nat Geo's trying to get him in their booth, but
He's-
was
yeah.
it,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like this. Who's pulling me into who's booth?
You manufactured one hookah, and I almost freaking drowned in your pool with it.
And you almost drowned because you got caught up in your shorts that came off.
Like a fishing net. Like I got caught in a fishing net. One hookah that I
It was
almost
like a
and now
beluga in a fishing net. What can I say?
Ron, what do you think he's going to be like at that affair? He's just going to be toxic.
I'm
If
thinking about
I
flying in
go,
myself.
I may be in a booth that has much to do about detecting. So
Right. Absolutely.
When was the last time you were underwater with scuba gear?
it's been a while.
But you're supposed to talk about your headphones in a while.
I quit smoking. So I quit smoking about 10 years ago. I'm almost ready to go back underwater.
Hey, speaking of the peanut gallery, guess who just showed up?
I just heard Debbie.
Buzzkill just came in.
Well, you know what? If that's what I am, make your own buzzing dinner tomorrow.
Oh,
We'll have to eat and leave you here.
pizza.
And if you're not making dinner, that means I'll save electric. The microwave won't be running as much.
Listen, I love my microwave.
By the way, it's been in there for 2 years. I put my wallet in the oven. She ain't found it yet.
You're so funny.
So, all right, guys, we're out of here, man. With that, I got to go deal with Buzzkill. You guys all have a good night. Ronnie, would you like to say good night?
Good night, everybody. Show was great tonight.
Good night, guys.
Good night,
Bye.
Debbie.
Bye, Deb.
Bye.
I told you to wait in the damn truck.
We got a lot of good lineups coming in the next couple of weeks,
Bye.
months even. We got quite a few guests, so stay tuned. And thanks for watching tonight. We had a great time, and we're going to do just a show on liverwurst, so we'll talk about that later.
It's an entire topic all by
Only when
itself.
you drink wine.
Jesus God.
Only when he drinks wine.
All right, guys. Frankie, just
Good night.
shut it down.
All right. Thanks, Steve Arnold, for coming on tonight. And
Oh, great guy. Great guy.
keep you updated on who's on next week. And we'll be back.
That's it. We're out, yo.
Bye.